determination until this determination is given from here. We wait until now tomorrow so that they will be able to make an informed decision on the future or the life of this particular tribunal.
Absolutely. There are those, and I have spoken to the lawyers of the judge, who argue that the tribunal's life is dependent on the status of the person that is under inquiry, that they only have jurisdiction because this is a process that arose out of the initiation of a process for the removal of a judge, and that once somebody loses that status of a judge, then this tribunal and even the Judicial Service Commission, which initiated this particular process, would no longer have the jurisdiction, because they only have jurisdiction to handle matters or to determine matters in relation to somebody who is occupying the office of a judge. But there are also those who argue that the tribunal could very well continue because there are other issues that are of great public interest with relations to the claims that were made against the judge that would still require answers, so that at least whether the judge in his retirement is vindicated, or even the court on which he sits also reclaims its glory, because we know that the accusations that were leveled against him could be stretched and spread to all the other members of the court, so that it is also in the public interest to find a final answer to the accusations that were leveled against him. So it just adds to the confusion that is there, and I believe that when we pour over the decision that has been made today and overnight and tomorrow, we will be having a clearer picture on the great implications of.
But Sifuna, some of the questions that people have been having, and even in that tribunal, the questions that have been arising, as you're putting it, is the tribunal's life so far, as we have seen it. The judge was still a judge, albeit suspended. If he stands retired today, then that life of the tribunal would end. What would happen to how far they have come, what they have collected, what they have gathered? That just disappears?
Well, I don't think that the tribunal would be able to make a definitive finding at this particular stage of the proceedings. I remember one of his lawyers, Ngatia, trying to indicate that at this particular stage, with the way that what we could call the prosecution evidence or the evidence against the judge had gone, that it was possible for us to actually stop these hearings of the tribunal at this particular stage. But the truth of the matter is that you cannot make that definitive finding, because there are still witnesses that are lined up. We haven't had witnesses in defense of the judge. We do not know whether the judge would prefer or would like to actually take the stand himself before that tribunal. So if the import of today's decision is that the tribunal no longer has jurisdiction, then their jurisdiction ends tonight and they cannot pronounce themselves again on that particular matter. The issue would end where it is right now, at that particular tribunal.
Yes, break down for us exactly what these applications were. And we could be speaking in that legal jargon. Just help Kenyans understand, what exactly does that mean? Well,
just to take you back to what happened with the order of the Court of Appeal. Immediately the order of the Court of Appeal was made that judges should retire at 70. The team, the lawyers of Rawal and Tunoi, moved to the Supreme Court, where they got an order staying that decision of the Court of Appeal. Basically what it does is to freeze the decision and to maintain the situation as it is at that particular moment, or to prevent the implementation of that particular decision. So, for instance, a stay that was granted by Rawal was to allow the judges to continue as judges, in spite of the fact that the Court of Appeal had said they need to retire. So even today, immediately the Supreme Court pronounced itself dismissing the orders that Njoki Ndung'u had given that were sustaining Rawal and Tunoi in the judiciary. Their lawyers, of course, rose up immediately to pray that the Supreme Court grants them stay of 21 days, so that decisions are not taken by the JSC that would render the appeal that they want to file nugatory or of no use.
Essentially what that means, Sifuna, is that now for 21 days they would still be in office?
Absolutely. That is the import of an order of stay, and that is what the court will rule on Thursday, when we reconvene on Thursday at 11 a.m.
That creates another question or problem, so to speak. If the Chief Justice retires on that Thursday, yes, and closes shop and decides, okay, fine, he's going, if this order of stay then is granted and, you know, they go back on vacating it, then what does that mean for the position of acting Chief Justice? Does Rawal take it?
The truth of the matter is that anyone who has observed these proceedings and how they have gone can predict with some level of certainty what the decision of the court is going to be on that application for stay. I really doubt that the appellants will get an extension, and I suspect that in the period between now and Thursday, the respondents would have already gone ahead to advertise those positions. So I really don't have any hopes for the decision going the way of the appellants at that particular point. But if the stay is granted, then it essentially means that Rawal will remain as the Deputy Chief Justice, and as the law provides, she would then become the acting Chief Justice immediately the current Chief Justice vacates office.
Let's just briefly go back again now to the Tunoi Tribunal. Now, if we have to wait until Thursday, that affects as well the determination that the Tunoi Tribunal may take tomorrow, right?
Yes, if the Tunoi Tribunal takes the position that this person being no longer a judge, that the tribunal ceases to exist, or that it ceases to perform its functions, then tomorrow what I expect is that they will adjourn again to wait for the decision of the court on Thursday, so that they don't go on and off, that on Thursday they probably would get the stay order and he is back as a judge and we continue. And Jackie, I will just like to say to you and to your viewers that this kind of circus and confusion that we are seeing is exactly what the Law Society of Kenya was trying to avoid by proposing that these matters be taken out of court and sorted out in the manner that we proposed. And in fact, I have seen a lot of misinformation on the media as to what the Law Society of Kenya was trying to achieve. The basis of the negotiations and the talks that we had opened as a mediator or as you know, somebody to arbitrate was one of the basic requirements was that the judges were going to abandon their appeals. We were only discussing the terms upon which those appeals would be abandoned, and if the appeals were abandoned, we would revert back to the position of the Court of Appeal, which would have finalized this matter once and for all, at least as far as these two judges are concerned. But as it is today, the court itself, the Supreme Court, has said that the appellants still have that right to bring that appeal to the court, so that this saga of the retirement age is by no means over, because once the court is reconstituted, whenever that will be, according to the Supreme Court, they have the right to bring that appeal afresh.
All right, and indeed this will be setting precedents, Hussein. You know, when now the question was 74 years or 70 years, and the current judges who are in question today said when they took office the new retirement age was 74. Now this has set the precedents that, you know, if this is upheld, essentially moving forward, then all other judges will be having to retire at the age of 70, right?
Absolutely. But as I can repeat, and let me just say it again for clarity, the position of the Supreme Court today has been that there has been no definitive pronouncement by this apex court on the question of the retirement age, so that in future, and you know, if the speed with which the JSC seems to want to move on the issue of replacement of the judges who are leaving is anything to go by, then probably in the next 3 months or 6 months, we should have a properly reconstituted court, and we could see these appeals coming back again, because that right has not been taken away